Navigating through the energies of New Earth is not an easy process and can become extremely overwhelming at times. As we all ascend into higher frequencies, we're all being guided to embrace our own unique divine pathway, a pathway created in the vibration of love. Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within and understand the message being shared even greater. When you live in the frequency of love, there is no competition, so Carrie will be joined regularly by fellow soul family members who will bring forth wisdom and knowledge she knows should be shared on a global level. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners to see what message Spirit wants to share with all those listening in for the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, come and join us now on Vibe Nation Radio, here on the IOM Radio Network.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today our special guest, Chris Anderson, better known as One-Feather, who is an astrologer, intuitive, and a teacher with ACIM, is here with me today, and we're going to be talking about some existing prophecies and current environmental situations humanity is currently encountering. And for those that are listening to Vibe Nation Radio for the first time, last week we spoke about, on the show, Standing with Standing Rock, and we spoke a little about the prophecy. And I know that Chris's knowledge and wisdom is very deep when it comes to prophecies, and I am absolutely honored to have him here today. Chris, are you there?
I am, and it's really a blessing to be here. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Oh, yes, as always. Always an interesting conversation with you, my friend. So I thought we could start off talking a little bit about the existing prophecies, and then in the next segment, we'll start talking about, how we have to go deeper, because we are in a revolution of evolution, and there's so many things that are taking place on a humanity and global level that a lot of people really don't know too much about.
Well, I would say that that is kind of an understatement almost, because we're definitely in very powerful transformative times, but I think we have to step back and recognize, especially in the community that you and I inhabit, the somewhat New Age or New Thought part of society, that there's a lot more going on than we're all able or capable of comprehending. And yet at the same time, we are a very, very thin slice of the pie if you step back and look at things from that level of, where are we on the map in human consciousness right now?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, again, with not too many people understanding what's truly going on a global level, or even understanding energy for that matter, to allow people to say, you know what, you really need to step out of your comfort zone is what we're talking about today. A lot of people don't even know what stepping out of the comfort zone means, because they're really still asleep. They're still programmed. And they haven't started with the rewiring program. And, that's at a soul level. And I think that, again, a lot of people, even when they start to wake up a little bit in their spiritual, the fear kicks in because they don't understand this. And I think that, you add that to the uneducation that is happening with regards to, like, even with the Dakota pipelines, that not too many people know the truth because it's not really being spoken out there unless you actually go in and actually look for it yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely a fact. And one of the things that becomes very obvious as we start to observe all the chaos going on around us, and it's definitely being amplified right now. I mean, it seems like, with this current election behind us and all the fear and paranoia and extremism and reactionary processes going on, combined with the TPP and the Dakota pipeline and, just everything that is happening out there in the broader world, there is a huge, huge amount of fear. And one of the ways that we can resolve our sense of fear is stepping back and getting outside of our physical identity, our ego identity. If we are identifying ourselves as a physical being, then we have placed ourselves in that position of being extremely vulnerable. So what we have to do is recognize we are spirit, and spirit enfolds us. We are a part of God. We're not separate from God. God's not over there somewhere. We, as it was revealed in, even the New Testament, one of the apostles said, we live and move and have our being in God. So the fact that we exist within God means that we are not vulnerable to all of the imagery and all of the fears that are being raised. So the first step in confronting these issues is not to go out and jump into a situation where we're on the front lines getting beat up by riot police. The first step is to go deeply within and to affirm our identity and to loose ourselves of the physical identity, to step into spirit, and then to know that we are invulnerable and to listen to spirit as to what the next step for us is.
Beautiful. I like your words of wisdom, my friend.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's really the only way it's going to be resolved, because if you go and look at human history, we've got 10,000 years of recorded history, and it's been the same old crap over and over and over. These are not, trying times that have just welled up out of nowhere. This is human history. This is how it's been playing out. But we're finally at a point where we can begin to share that vision that the mystics and the prophets and the avatars have given us, that came through in the ancient prophecies from all the tribes. Those are the way to finding the solution, because fixing it in the material realm, on the material level, is just keeping the wound open and rubbing salt in it over and over again.
Yes. Totally agree with you on that. Now, with regards to, like you were saying, with the Dakotas is a big thing that obviously is out there, and a lot of people are very concerned about this. And, we've spoken about this, that, it's not just, if you're near there and you can go by and support, great, but we see what's happening there. And, it's just causing more of the lower vibrations attached to this, where from home, like you said, you can find the God within you and feel that love and feel that love. And I've been talking about being the bridge between heaven and earth, that when you're connected to God at a higher frequency, you also are connected to Gaia, and you have the ability to channel that energy down to help Gaia at this point of time, because she really needs us. She's very sick.
That's very true. But we also have to look at the key element in the whole process. Right now, because of the tenderness of the wound that is currently being examined or experienced in mass consciousness, a lot of people become very venomous, and they approach it from the level of, we've got to get even, we've got to kill these guys, we've got to stop these guys, we've got to take anything or any measure necessary to intervene. And that really, again, is falling into that trap of repeating history. So the first step that we have to really look at is the act of forgiveness. And if we really look at ourselves in context with all of humanity, we collectively have created this. And the only way we're going to resolve it is to, by individual processes, forgive ourselves and forgive the people that we believe are the oppressors, that are the evil ones. We have to transcend that desire to revolt and attack, and we have to get into a sacred space of quietness in order to be able to actually confront these things.
Yes, it's absolutely true. And that's something, again, that I know that those that have been following me for a while, it's the journey of soul. And when you need to go into soul solitude, that's where you're able to go in and do the healing. Because as you and I both know, there's many layers of energy that must be healed during the process.
That is definitely true. And one of the things that a lot of people really don't get is a thing that's called the law of one. And
yes.
When you look at things from the deepest level of consciousness, you start to recognize the one single theme that comes up over and over and over again in all spiritual text across, the millenniums, across the ages, is that idea that there is one creation. It is one organic, whole, and perfect and complete creation. So whatever you project out in the world is something that is going to affect you. Once we start to recognize that oneness, then we begin to realize, if I hate somebody else, that hatred, it may not be, tomorrow, but eventually that hatred will work its way back to me.
Yes.
So that gives us that need to calm down, to slow down, and to bring love back into the situation as being the primary factor, as being the common denominator.
Yes, that's beautiful. And we are about to go to a commercial break, which is perfect. We've got some perfect timing here. So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about people coming out of the comfort zone and how they can do this with confidence. So stay tuned, my friends, and we'll be back right after the commercial break.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today my special guest, Chris Anderson, also known as OneFeather, is joining me, and we're talking about climbing out of your comfort zone. And before we went to commercial break, we were talking about how, we need to go in and forgive all and realize we all are one. And Chris, you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge in many different areas in the spiritual realm. Astrology, your intuitiveness that you have. You've worked with cards, and you're also a teacher of ACIM. Now, with all this wisdom and knowledge, do you see how they all intertwine into one? I want to explain to people about this oneness, that as a channel, I don't use astrology, but I know that my channel aligns up with astrology. And, when we're looking at all that's happening, that people do need to look a little bit deeper about what's happening on an energetic level.
Well, I think all of the tribal peoples inherently, intuitively, have always recognized that there is only one creation, there is only one earth, there is only one state of being. I think that as we became more and more of a linear society, we lost that inherent state of grace that that humanity had lived in for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. So, you go into tribal situations anywhere in the world, and you'll discover that one of the things that is revered in the tribal tradition is that attainment of silence, of going to that place within that deeper realm of consciousness where you experience this abstract state of being. And God is all. God is everything complete in unto itself. So when we approach God, we have to clear our mind of this fragmented sense of an objectified world and allow ourselves to experience the oneness of the universe. As we start to do this, then all of a sudden it becomes apparent in those deeper states of meditation, of quietness, that we are a part of everything that exists. We are all of existence. We are all of humanity. We are all of the cosmos. But we are localized in our ego, in our personal identity. So you find the tribal peoples, especially the Native Americans, have this deep and profound appreciation for solitude and quietude. Not all the time, but that is the place you go to reconnect and to rediscover the perfection that you inherently are a part of.
Yes. And people don't remember that because of the lower vibrations. So this is beautiful. I just want to, for those that are listening in, I've got a lot of energy, a lot of spirits are showing up in my home right now as I'm doing this show. But I'm also feeling, as you're speaking, Chris, and I want you to understand that the power of your words, because I'm feeling a lot of hurt that has hurt a lot of people is being released by listening to you right now. Because I'm feeling this release of people that have been hurt in a loving state, knowing that they can actually heal that within them now. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. I think one of our things that we are always, our ego is that sense of separation. Yes. I am over here, you're over there, and there most likely is an irreconcilable distance between the two of us. And yes. That very thought system is what keeps the wound open. It's what keeps us in a state of fear and panic and vulnerability. As we experience that oneness that comes out of a surrender of the ego, stepping out of the ego for just a millisecond every once in a
yes.
while, and experiencing that amazing realm of connectivity, then that is the thing that restores us to a sense of invulnerability. And I think that's really something that we all desire, but we all believe we can't have. Imagine yes. waking up in the morning and recognizing I am invulnerable. Nothing out there can harm me, because even though I've got a physical body, and the physical body may get run over by a dump truck, who I am is eternal. It has always been, and it will continue to be throughout eternity. So it is a lifting up and a reaching out to something that is so sublime that, until you start these practices, you really have no concept of what the gifts of this kind of thought system, this kind of ideology can present to you.
Yes. And again, words, thoughts, and feelings are all vibrations. And like you said about the oneness, about, I tell people the universe is a magic mirror, and that you vibe out to the universe will become your reality. And you were talking about this earlier. And again, it's something so simple to explain to people, but yet it's so difficult to actually do, because, you know, when you look at the bigger picture that we're all one, and that, you know, a lot of people can't grasp that. They don't see the, you know, they can't see the fact that time is an illusion. Yes, time is very real here in this reality as you go through the day, but in the bigger picture, it's actually an illusion.
Yes, time is a trap that we created for ourselves. And it really is kind of fascinating when we really stop and draw back and observe time and the passage of time, because in truth, everything that is happening is, if we are in that state of unified consciousness, everything that's happening is happening in the now. If we are attached to our ego, if we are attached to our mortality, then what happens is we disrupt that natural flow of living in the moment, and all of a sudden we start to experience life as this disjointed and fractured series of experiences. And those are all based on either the past or the future. So we're projecting out as a now. We're stepping into either the past, which is, you know, the fond memory of that great night of sex that you had 12 years ago, which is, you know, was probably a wonderful experience, but nonetheless irrelevant to what's right now going on. Or else you're living in anticipation of, oh, my God, I really want a great night of sex. So, you know, we throw ourselves out of sync with the passage of time and with the process of life itself. And the only way that we can restore ourselves to living in this moment and taking command of our lives is to practice that process of separation from the physical body and from the activity of the mind that is always seeking but never actually succeeding in attaining what it thinks it wants.
Yes, especially now in the new earth. I mean, we've been talking this for a while on Vibe Nation Radio, that we've never been in these energies before. This is all new. This is why it's called New Earth. And if we don't know what true magic really is, living in the moment is that much more powerful, because if you start to have expectations or assumptions, then you're going by something that's happened in the past, not realizing you really don't know what it is in the now that you truly desire, because you're just starting to remember the magic that lies really, truly within.
Right, and that magic, interestingly enough, is not... When we think of creation, we think of, oh, I'm going to get rich, I'm going to get laid, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. And we end up sliding back into the realm of what the ego thinks it wants. So as soon as we're able to step out of that space of, you know, these irrelevant desires and start to recognize that we have a union that is always available to us to be accessed, where our true desires, our true needs, our true understanding of life and of our fellow man is fulfilled, but it is fulfilled as a result of co-creation with God. It is not a separate ego-based, I want to manifest $1 million overnight kind of journey. So when we align ourselves with the divine within us, then all of a sudden the resources start showing up and the doors start opening, and we fall into the process of flowing with the universe instead of paddling our little canoe up the stream by ourselves. Yes.
Yeah, like one of the scenarios I use a lot is that, you know, we have a new record that it's our song of life. And you want to ensure that you just stay in the groove and go with the flow and stay in the moment and just keep your vibrations in the love and light, knowing that it will guide you exactly where you're meant to go.
It absolutely will. And it's a very easy process to access, this energy field or this space in the reality of the lives that we are living. there is nothing difficult about spirituality. The only thing that becomes difficult is when we get involved in meaningless rituality. As soon as we get trapped in rituals that humanity is struggling to outgrow, then we end up creating a world that's very frustrating, because then it's a cause and effect reality. Spirituality is a very easy, natural process. It's a journey that really has no distance, and that's kind of an amazing experience when you begin to hit that rhythm where your journey doesn't have to take you anywhere. It doesn't have to cause you to arrive at any place, because everything that is important to you is something that you're experiencing in the here and now. So that's a kind of a difficult concept for people to tap into, but it is, again, one of those first stages in the process of awakening is to recognize everything is right here. It's available. All you have to do is surrender your desire to control all this stuff and learn how to work with the program, learn how to work with the divine within you.
And that's interesting you just said that about the control, because today, energetic-wise, I had tapped in for the Vibe Report that today was going to be a day where a lot of people were going to be controlled by Mr. Control Monster. So I'm glad you kind of picked that up, because it kind of just flows right in with what I've been talking about with like the Vibe Report. So there was something I was going to say, and I just got thrown completely back off, but I know we're about to go to a commercial break. So when we come back, Chris, I thought it would be, if you could share with the listeners how they could go in and just do, easy ways of just shutting off the monkeys and closing down the mind to be able to tap into that oneness that's available for all of us. So when we get back, we'll get into that. Stay tuned, my friends. We'll be right back with the commercial.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
When Dad needed help getting around, I became his driver. Soon enough, it was up to me to be his housekeeper and financial manager, too. When he moved in, I became his cook and even his nurse. But no matter what roles I play, I know I'm still his daughter.
We understand the roles you play. So to help, we created aarp.org/caregiving, where you can connect with experts and other caregivers. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Today, my special guest, Chris Anderson, better known as OneFeather, and I are talking about climbing out of the comfort zone. And before we went to commercial break, I kind of got thrown off track, and Spirit reminded me during the commercial break what I was to say. And, with what Chris has been talking about, an easier way to explain this, that this is a process, and it's not a race, and there is no finish line. So during as you're ascending into the higher frequencies, you might find you get to a place that not very many people may be at on a spiritual level. And then all of a sudden you notice all these people are actually with you. And, don't see this that, they're ahead of me or they're ahead of me, because you're experiencing this the way your soul is supposed to experience this. And when you look at the law of oneness, or the law of one, if we're all connected, just see yourself as a piece of that puzzle. So that which you are remembering is in the greater purpose for all of humanity here on Gaia. So I just wanted to throw that in there, Chris.
Absolutely.
So I know we've been talking about, how to find that oneness within you and how to really feel the energy and love of God within. And I know you've been working with students all over the world and doing a lot of this stuff. So is there anything you can share to help people, to be able to actually stop and be able to do this without putting too much thought into it, that it's really not that difficult to do?
Absolutely. I think one of the things I'll highlight here is ACIM is A Course in Miracles, and that is, from my perception or perspective, that is the most profoundly empowering thing that I have ever encountered. And I highly recommend it for people who are really committed to learning about their own divinity and about the truth of who they are. The course is comprised of, multiple sections. There's the text, there are the lessons, there's the handbook for teachers, but you have 365 lessons, one a day. And if you'll give the course a shot and try those lessons over the process of 1 year, you will make astonishing strides in attaining that state of inner peace, that the attainment of, I won't say so much enlightenment, but awareness. It brings you into awareness of who you are and where you are in the timeline of this reality that we have co-created. So that would be the first, recommendation I would make. Okay. Affirmations, I think, are incredibly powerful, but most people don't stick with it. That's why, they'll start off with an affirmation of, I'm going to get rich tomorrow. And rather than being consistent with it, they'll practice their little mantra or whatever you want to call it for a couple of days, and then they fizzle out. And that's what happens with what you're initiating. It fizzles out. So you have to use your affirmations consistently. That's the first step. One of the most powerful affirmations that you can start off with, and just see what, comes out of it, is to get into a relaxed state and use this affirmation. It's very, very simple. I am as God created me. Now, if you have that vision or that image of God as being perfect love, perfect harmony, timeless, eternal, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, then you begin to awaken to that possibility that you share these qualities with God. So starting off on a very simple affirmation and giving it a couple of weeks, and just in the morning get into a relaxed place, and then once again in the evening getting into that relaxed place, and just making that affirmation, I am as God created me. And as you start to make those steps forward, all of a sudden synchronicity kicks in, and you're given a validation, a little gift from the universe, where it shows up, and something that was a problem or an illness that was something that, was holding you back. All of a sudden these things start to dissolve. Doors start to open. You start to feel more in harmony with life. So that's, the fastest way of attainment is consistency and simplicity, because spirituality is not complex. When some guru comes along and says, you have to face the west and bow 28 times and do this on your hands and knees and jump up and down and run through the fire, they're bullshit artists. Pardon my, bluntness.
I laugh about that. there are a lot of spiritual gurus out there that really have no idea what they're talking about. They're just lining their pockets, and we could do a whole show about that, Chris.
Yes. Well, the whole thing is that God is God. God is simple. God is just that beingness, that state of beingness.
Being.
And so when we create a complex series of rituals, when we obscurificate the fact that truth is pure and simple, then we create chaos for ourselves and for those around us. So recognize that the road to God is a straight avenue. You don't have to jump hurdles. You don't have to struggle. That presence is always there, always available, and always awake. It is listening. It is observing. It is watching. It is participating. You know, one of the things that Jesus said that I thought was so profound and yet so simple is that God is life. So your life, my life, all existence, the life of the cicada, that wakes up once every 17 years, the life of the wombat in the forest, all life, every blade of grass up to the crown of creation is the expression of God. I mean, there's nothing complex about that. There's nothing hard to understand about that. Yes. So when we start working on it from that level of the beauty, the simplicity, and the harmony of the presence and activity of God in your life, then you start to relax. Then you can actually start to hear what divinity is trying to tune you into, is trying to lift you up to become a part of.
Beautiful. And I can feel the energy of the people listening rising by the minute. This is very, very powerful. I just want you to know this, Chris. Again, I'm just saying this because Spirit is just making me, I'm buzzing over here.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
So and that allows people to understand that we're all energy, that I don't need to be sitting in front of Chris to tap into his energy. And I don't need to be in front of I don't even know who's listening, but I can feel the love growing within the group. And I think this just to show people the power of one, that if you were just to stop every day and do this for just a few minutes, and, a lot of times with me, I turn on and put on music and I'll go into the kitchen and I'll stare out my window. And that just brings me into, oneness for me. Again, there's no wrong or right to how you do this either. As long as you keep the ego at check, and this is purely for the sake of, that love vibration, that love and light, knowing that you are one with God, and that if you can stay in that frequency of love, what a beautiful ripple effect that is. Because I know you're probably all sitting there feeling this love now that I've mentioned it. So I just wanted to bring that forward, Chris. It goes to show you the power that we do have at a soul level.
And it's never ending. That's the beauty of starting to work on your spiritual journey, is you're stepping into eternity. God is eternity. You're stepping into an astonishing level of realization. Every problem that you imagine that you have starts to diminish, and every condition of relationship in your life starts to be transformed as you step into that humility, humbling the ego, embracing the love, and forgiving everybody around you and yourself for all of the chaos that we collectively are creating. One of the things that the old paradigm has always parroted to everybody was, pray to God for forgiveness and then go out and smite thy neighbor, strike him dead. Well, that process, that old school vision of a reactionary response to life has created a situation that I think it was Gandhi who said, talking about the old code of Hammurabi, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, that just leaves everybody blind. That's where we end up. So as soon as we can actually forgive others, then we have created a channel where God is able to actually get through our bullshit level, our ego level, and forgive us. You know, then that burden of your screw-up 18 years ago is lightened and eventually dissolved. So all this unconscious guilt that we carry around with us starts to be ameliorated as soon as we start forgiving others, because that opens that vessel so that forgiveness can pour back into our mind and in our soul, and we can start to feel better about ourselves.
Absolutely. And for those that have never listened to my show before, if you go to my website, carrieturcott.com, and roll over home, I have something called Vibrexercises. Those are exercises to help raise your vibrations. And there, the second one down, it's called the Condo in My Head exercise. And this is to help you with exactly what Chris was talking about, that, you know, whatever happened 18, 20, 50 years ago, you know, it really does not play a purpose now. What you went through did. But this exercise allows you to find the golden nuggets and gems to allow you to appreciate some of the BS that you went through, because you found these beautiful feelings along the way, knowing that we are in a new earth, and a lot of people that have been part of our soul journey up to now are no longer moving into the higher realms with us, and we have to be grateful and let that go. So that exercise that's on there, it really helps you understand. It shows you the triggers, it shows you the repeated patterns, and to allow you to appreciate all that has taken place, knowing that by vibing on all the good. So when you hear a song that reminds you of somebody in the past, you remember that gemstone or that golden nugget and thank them and change the channel instead of listening to it for a few minutes and start to cry and bring back those lower vibrations that you know you truly don't want to co-create in your life.
Yeah, and it's also very important for people to recognize that this is not something that you do on your own. You know, this journey is not a journey that you have undertaken on your own. It is a journey that you have undertaken with all of humankind throughout all time. And the only way that there is going to be any kind of a resolution is if we do it collectively, and we do it in tandem with the divine that exists within us. So, you know, if you don't have God in the equation, you're not going to get a result.
Yes. Great way to end it off for this next segment. And when we come back, what I'm going to be doing is the weekly reading, and Chris can put his information that he picks up from Spirit, and we'll talk a little bit further. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Hello, I'm John Lithgow. Manatees are unique, among the most amazing animals on Earth, but they're endangered. We pose the greatest threat to their survival. Many manatees are killed or injured by boats or other recreational activities. I'm a writer of children's books, including one about manatees, and I believe education is the key. You can be part of the solution. Please contact Save the Manatee Club right now. Call 1-800-432-JOIN. Thank you.
Welcome back to Vibe Nation Radio, where today my special guest, Chris Anderson, better known as OMTimes, and I have been talking about climbing out of the comfort zone. And this is the time in the show where I actually tap into Spirit to give a message to all those who are listening in. And of course, it doesn't surprise me that they're telling me that there's a lot of people that are listening in that still live in the past a little too much. And again, it's just acknowledging that at a soul level where you're vibing out, that you are still living there. And they're saying that, this is a new beginning. We're all be given this. It's about shutting off the monkeys and going within and feeling that vibration of love, peace, harmony. And don't get caught up in the delays and frustrations that might be happening around you, because, again, you are the creator of your own reality. But they're also mentioning right now that there's a lot of people that still don't listen to their gut or listen to what their soul is really telling them. And it's because right now they're being pulled into, they're almost saying like the world is not celebrating and loving life right now. And it's almost like they want you to create your own celebration of life. And, regardless of what your beliefs or religion is, that the holidays are coming on a global level and people celebrate that through love throughout. So they're just saying that, allow the truth to come to the surface to self, and allow yourself to get over these losses, and know that by forgiving others and forgiving yourself, because when you do the condo in my head exercise, the number one person you're writing to is yourself, and it's not an easy letter to write. So they're just saying, they feel people are ready to live the life they want to live, that they've made a decision. And they're saying that a lot of people have shifted through this radio show to saying, you know what, I'm going to get into action, because, you know what, history is repeating itself again in my life. People are trying to tell me what to do, and this is bringing me back into the past. So I'm going to listen to the knowledge and wisdom that was shared on today's show to go within, find my soul solitude, and move on to the journey of life with God to where I'm supposed to be going. So that's the message I got. Chris, would you like to add something to that, my friend?
Well, I think the only thing I would add to that is to be witness to the fact that you are not who you thought you were. When we are born into this realm, we start to create an identity, and that is what the ego is. It is an identity that we have fabricated. And everything that's in your life is there because you have allowed it to be, or you have placed it there. And it's very, very important that you start to look at your personal sense of self. As we begin to investigate that concept, to look deeply into that idea, then we start to view our ego as what it actually is. It's a joyride through the material world with one outcome guaranteed. You die. So do you want to stay on that level of existence, or do you want to aspire to a higher level? I mean, how many times can you lay in a bed and rot with cancer, or get hit by a semi on the freeway, or whatever? See, the identity that we have created, that we protect and that we cherish, that is our beloved friend, actually has one outcome in mind for us. It's going to kill us, or at least to walk us through that process of falling into the dream again, going deeper into sleep, and then waking up in another body and then getting hit by another semi. So we really have to look at the ego, recognize the truth that our ego is not the friend we think it is, and then to begin to investigate the possibilities of who am I? What is my truth? Where do I come from? Who is my accountability to? And at the core of all this is, what is love? Do I feel love? Am I loved? Am I able to love? So these are all very, very important aspects of our journey through this material realm. The only reason we're here is because we stepped out of love. It's because we wanted that separation. We wanted to create that ego. We wanted to be vulnerable. We wanted to be driven by fear. So the journey home is very, very easy. It's just a matter of questioning what's going on.
Yes. That's beautiful. Now, before I'm going to end up with one question here, but I want those that are listening in, if you're looking to connect with Chris, you can find him at onefeatherjournal.com. You can also find this information on my website under Vibe Nation Radio. And Chris, do you have anything that you would like to share with the audience of anything upcoming that you're doing, or where to find you for, the services you provide?
Well, everything is on my services page on my website. All of the readings I do, astrological and tarot, are based on the idea of validating the truth about who you are and giving you that sense of, yes, most of life confronts us with no. And my readings are based on the idea that, yes, you can have these things in your life that make you feel complete, that make you feel healed, that make you feel like you are above that placement that you have given yourself for God knows how many years. And I also have my YouTube page where I have two different series going side by side on A Course in Miracles, discussions with Stephen out in California and with Barrett, who is in this area. And that's the Chicago area. And on my YouTube, it's youtube.com user/OneFeather, and that's spelled WONEFEATHER. So check out my YouTube if you're interested in the course.
Beautiful. Now, we've been calling this the revolution of evolution. So Spirit's saying, let's just have a little fun with this and just allow the listeners to hear your take on what you believe the revolution of evolution is truly all about.
Well, I don't think that we were ever unevolved. I think we just forgot our truth. So the revolution that you're talking about really is a revolution of questioning our truth, questioning our beliefs, questioning our identity, questioning all of the things that appear to be real around us, and asking ourselves, is this based in fear or is this based in love? And if it's based in fear, reaching out and asking that Holy Spirit, the presence in the universe, the Christ consciousness, the Buddha mind, whatever format you use, reaching out and asking for a level of intervention, help me to see this through the eyes of love, to forgive it, to step apart from it, and to allow me to take my power back from the fear and from, the avoidance that most of us experience in life. I think that really is the groundwork that we have to start off with, and we build from there.
Absolutely. And again, it starts with one. This is a sacred journey back to one, my friends. And as you go within and find oneness within you, again, it does become a ripple effect as more wake up. Because now we're all going into those higher frequencies of love, where before some people might not, as they're waking up, they're not as high in frequency, but it doesn't mean they can't catch up because, again, this is not a race. It is a process, and there is no finish line to this. We will always be evolving. And because we've never been through this before, again, sit back and relax and understand that God has got our hand, leading the way. We just got to find our way back to self to find the hand that's going to lead the way.
Exactly. And, one of my favorite affirmations is that there is no spot where God is not. So God is, so pervasive that you cannot escape being a part of that presence. The only thing that separates you from that recognition is, again, that identity that you have created to put you outside of God. So as soon as you learn how to relax behind the idea that I and the Father am one, or I and the Goddess are one, or however you want to format it, as soon as you can relax within that realization, you will feel that presence right where you're at. And when you can actually express love, what are you doing? You're doing something that is miraculous. You are expressing the presence and the activity of God because God is love itself. So as we learn how to relax and as we learn how to surrender this personal sense of self and embrace this higher sense of self, we come to the understanding that I am so at oneness with God that we are indistinguishable from each other, from one another. In other words, when Jesus said, I and the Father are one, he meant it in the most literal precept conceivable.
Beautiful. As I feel my crown, it's totally activated, and I can feel, they're telling me there's a lot of people that you might find that the top of your head very itchy right now. Chris, you've done a fabulous job to open people up, because I can feel the effects where I am. So thank you.
Awesome. Absolutely. And don't be surprised if that little spot right above your eyebrows, right in the center of your forehead, gets a little bit fuzzy too, because frequently that sixth eye, or that third eye, the sixth chakra, will get activated before that crown chakra opens up.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot. I jumped ahead of there. Absolutely, for those that are very new to this, but I'm feeling, so you might find you do have that third eye opening as well as the crown starting to open up. So thank you so much for your beautiful energy. I really appreciate you being here this week, Chris. I really appreciate it.
It was absolutely a pleasure, and let me know when you need me back, because I'm having a good time.
You've got so much to talk about, and next week we're going to be talking about understanding the children of new birth. And my girlfriend, Charmaine Sasadou, is going to be joining me. So stay tuned to that on my website, KerryTurcott.com. And again, if you want to get Chris, OneFeatherJournal.com. Again, Chris, thank you very much, and have a wonderful week, my friend. May God be with all of you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.